CMDBuild is an open source solution for the asset management. It's an international project born in Italy from an Italian company. Today, we want to tell you about the state of the art of CMDBuild and the future development projects. Through some of the most memorable Italian sites and objects, we want to underline the Italian style that has inspired many of our business and technological decisions. The CMDBuild project is more than 10 years old. This is a very prestigious goal that has been achieved, especially for a software application and even more for an open source tool. 10 years ago, we shared the very first public release, the version 0.40. The interface was less technologically advanced and the features were very limited, but the main elements of the system, especially the configuration features of the CMDB, were already developed. Since then, we released other 40 versions, every time with new elements and features. Obviously, as CMDBuild was growing, Tecnoteca was becoming bigger, with more employees and with a more robust structure to support the project. The increasing number of the users and the quick diffusion that the project faced made us proud of our work and gave us the boost to work even harder, making CMDBuild always more complete and up to date with the technological evolution. In the last 5 years, since the source code is hosted on SourceForce, CMDBuild and OpenMaint, it has been downloaded more than 140,000 times. The international diffusion of CMDBuild can be found by looking at the countries where it has been downloaded. More than 200 different nations, with USA and Germany on top, and China, India, Italy, Indonesia, Japan, Great Britain, Spain, Netherlands, Russia and France following. The users from so many different countries also contributed to localize CMDBuild in 19 languages, including Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Persian and Arabic. CMDBuild is a Made in Italy project. Following a first distribution in Italy only, it became popular almost everywhere, as shown in the download countries, more than 200 different countries. We, as the maintainer of the project, are proud to offer commercial support to customers coming from more than 40 different countries in all the continents. The speakers that will talk today at the CMDBuild Day 2016 represent 8 different nations. The video technology and remote connections let us perform all the pre-sales, analysis, systematic configuration, production support and training activities. We also go and deliver in-house support, especially in the European countries. CMDBuild has been widespread also thanks to the support of the community of the project. The community is formed by the users who share their skills, translators that localize the tool into their mother tongue. CMDBuild is currently localized in 19 languages. The community gathers in the technical forum, in the LinkedIn group, counting more than 500 users, and on Twitter. Everyone is invited to take part, and with this event, we also want to thank all of those who brought their contribution to the diffusion of the project. The open source business model does not generate any income from selling the licenses. The economical sustainability of the open source projects, including CMDBuild, comes mainly from the subscription, the annual maintenance. The subscription is the best solution to ensure the customers a valid support service with technical help from our team within guaranteed time slots. Those who purchase the subscription can also benefit of several advanced services and additional features without additional costs, including the appliance, virtual server, that is pre-configured and always up to date, the mobile interface for smartphone and tablet, the self-service portal to interact with all the users and a framework for the implementation of the connectors. From the subscription, Tecnoteca also gets the resources needed to do further investments into the project. The philosophy behind CMDBuild relies on the ability to adapt to all the different needs of every company. CMDBuild is a base environment with advanced configuration features that allow to create new customized solutions for the actual needs, easily expendable or editable to meet companies' rearrangement or new operative or technical requirements. For this reason, you can get tailored data sheets for your own assets types, management processes, control reports, synchronization connectors with data coming from other applications, and so on. All this is achieved within the application configuration mechanism without touching the source code, letting the user upgrade to the new releases in very short times and benefit of the available features. The family of the CMDBuild project has become bigger during the last years. Let's start with CMDBuild in its base version, which celebrates in 2016 10 years of life. Thanks to its flexibility, CMDBuild has been edited and now features 2 different applications that are verticalization adapted to specific areas. Let's now go through the features and the evolutions that are planned, starting from the core, CMDBuild. CMDBuild is the base product. When you download it, install it, and you log into the system through the web interface, you'll find an empty application, but you will also find an environment featuring advanced visual configuration elements, datasheets and relations, workflows, reports, dashboards, user profiles, menu shaping, automatic tasks triggering, 2D map and 3D models, georeferences, and others that will allow you to configure the app according to your needs. CMDBuild is the right solution if you happen to manage a generic company's activity based on the management of objects and services with pre-configured procedures. It is also the solution on which we configured CMDBuild Ready to Use to manage assets and IT services, and OpenMaint for the buildings and facilities management. CMDBuild is open source. Everyone is free to download CMDBuild. Everyone is free to install CMDBuild on an indefinite number of servers. Everyone is free to access the source code. Everyone is free to configure their IT CMDBuild custom solutions, adopt and adapt. Everyone is free to use CMDBuild in specific areas: CRM, museum goods, furnitures, electro assets, help desk solutions, etc. Everyone is free to activate CMDBuild gradually depending on their own resources and their own organisational needs. Everyone is free to use CMDBuild completely independently or benefit of the Tecnoteca support to acquire the necessary training to carry out some tasks themselves or ask Tecnoteca to perform such. CMDBuild is a technologically advanced product. It's an enterprise system organised into components and services, fully accessible via web. The server components are written in Java language, which is secure, robust, and cross-platform. CMDBuild features the web service SOAP and REST to interact with other applications. Its database is fully accessible to ensure the availability of content data. CMDBuild is open source and uses only open source technologies, chosen amongst the best ones available in terms of technology and diffusion. The development plan of the CMDBuild project is usually designed by Tecnoteca, the maintainer of the project, according to the expectations of users and considering the evolution of the other competitor products. It often happens that in the development plan we include core extensions ordered by the users. Don't forget that the core developments of CMDBuild took a commitment of more than 30 years. The current roadmap of the project includes some short-term plans and other activities foreseen in the medium to long term. In October, in a couple of weeks, we will release the version 2.4.2 that will include, as described in the coming slides, new thematic maps and improved performance, as well as other minor improvements. In the upcoming months, we will be working on the activities planned in the medium to long term: GIS and BIM improvements, clustering, time slider, and GUI refurbishment. The 2.4.2 version of CMDBuild will include the definition of new thematic maps on the data stored in the CMDB. The themes are graphical representations on the map, with user-definable colours and forms of information related to geo-referenced objects. If you loaded into CMDBuild the floor plans of a building and you have placed IT assets into them, you can, for example, display the symbols related to them, with different colours depending on the status, in use, failure, disposed, based on an age range. Or you can colour the rooms of a building with different colours, according to the network outlets available, the available area per person, the intended use, etc. The thematic maps are an instant way to read certain types of correlated data to geo-referenced entities, in the same way the dashboard helps to visually represent other types of quantities or expressions: stocks, KPI, etc. CMDBuild usually handles huge amounts of data, in some cases even tens or hundreds of thousands of items in a single database table. CMDBuild is also the system by which the help desk staff records and manages user support requests, sometimes even hundreds a day. The user interface response times are therefore very important. The application already provides excellent response time, but from the version 2.4.2, we set as main objective to identify and solve any critical points to make it even faster. We achieved significant results, which users will certainly notice, acting on a fine-tuning of PostgreSQL database, on the construction of some queries on the server side, and on the optimization of some data requests on the client side. CMDBuild already supports georeferencing of items, both on two-dimensional maps, produced by GIS tools, and on three-dimensional models, produced by BIM tools. In the coming months, we will work on further developments to make the GIS stronger. The two-dimensional representation system is currently in the process of refactoring, and from the next 2.4.2 version, you will find, along with the thematic maps, large parts of the code rewritten. The three-dimensional representation system will be viewed for subsequent releases with the replacement of some basic libraries. In the coming months, we will work in both systems to a new feature that will make the moving objects function easier, currently only available in the two-dimensional case, so that you'll be able to move objects between rooms, floors and buildings, currently not available in the two-dimensional version. And finally, we will work on the processing of data synchronization mechanisms with the BIM server. A major development on which we will work in the coming months, and that has been requested by many users, is the ability to retain more CMDBuild instances running on different Tomcat instances on different servers active in parallel. This will ensure the overall functioning of the system, even in the case of a failure of one or more of the servers that is running Tomcat, and solves the only effective single point of failure. This development will also allow, under the normal use of CMDBuild, the distribution of the workload across multiple servers in the case of a high number of concurrent accesses, making the scalable system with no limitations other than the number of available servers. With regard instead of the database, we remind you that even now you can configure multiple instances of PostgreSQL in master-slave mode, manually or automatically, promoting one slave to master in case of failure. A further step that we'll take will let you use the slave instances of PostgreSQL for read-only operations, deploying those activities between all available servers. An important CMDBuild feature is the one that keeps in time all versions of changed data cards, with all the information for each version of the card linked to the date and the operator who performed the change. This information is visible in the tab History of each individual card and can be analysed more extensively through custom reports. We are currently planning a time slider by which you can move backward in any previous date and then use all the functions that were available to check the overall situation on that date. This will be a great way to have a look at the evolution of the system over time. Obviously, you will be prevented to modify data in case the reference date is set different from the current date. Then we foresee to have two types of interventions on the CMDBuild user interface. The first type is due in the medium to short term, 6 to 12 months, and will include improvements to the data management form. You will be able to specify default values for each attribute of the form, define dynamic validation criteria on more related attributes, set the description field of cards used in reference attributes of other cards as a sequence of multiple attributes, fixed values, aggregate to the attributes groups, field set, etc. The second type is expected in a medium to long-term period, 24 to 36 months, and will cover a more extensive user interface refurbishment, which has remained unchanged since version 1.0 and must now move closer to the new user's expectations and adapt to a new usability criteria. Refactoring the user interface will have a high impact on the application and will take this opportunity to reconsider other more structural aspects. Updating or replacing some components, moving on the server side of some parts that are common to multiple interfaces, mobile, GUI framework, etc. Introductions of mechanisms for notifying users, pop-up, etc. The most frequent usage for CMDBuild is to manage assets and IT services. After more than 100 installations based on our customer requirements, we brought the most wanted features into a pre-configured standard version, which we called CMDBuild Ready to Use. The Ready to Use version is obviously extremely configurable, and you can add all the mechanisms available in CMDBuild base. Almost all the IT customers we have are now using the Ready to Use version, of which the release 1.1 is coming out in a few days. CMDBuild Ready to Use can be downloaded from SourceForge. However, for the full version, you need to subscribe to our maintenance program. The first goal of CMDBuild Ready to Use is to help IT professionals in the management of IT assets. The correct word in the ITIL vocabulary is CI, Configuration Item. CMDBuild Ready to Use implements all the necessary capabilities to IT management in a medium-sized or large organisation. Data model with hardware configuration items, softwares and services, both from client area and infrastructural area, physical and virtual, with correlations and dependencies. Support to the asset lifecycle management, starting from the initial acquisition to the final disposal through a special process of asset management. Cable and network infrastructure management. Self-service interface through which users can access the catalogue of services, report faults and open new requests. Synchronization with Active Directory Connector, staff, OCS inventory, physical computers automatic discovery, and VMware vCenter, VMware virtual servers automatic discovery, reports and dashboards. The second goal of CMDBuild Ready to Use is to make available all the main management processes of the IT services, service desk, following the ITIL best practices. CMDBuild Ready to Use includes the service catalogue management, through which all users will know which services they are entitled to ask for and how. Incident management process, to report a malfunctioning of IT services. Request fulfillment process, through which the managing standard service requests by catalogue and or technical information. Change management process for managing changes to IT configurations. Controlling reports and dashboards. SLA monitoring and real-time notifications to operators. Several important institutions and companies run along your service desk with CMDBuild Ready to Use in a complete and integrated way. The second most common use of CMDBuild is for the property and facility management. In this case, following some installations based on our customer requests, we decided to offer a pre-configured standard version, which we called OpenMaint. OpenMaint includes the space and asset inventory, facility management, logistic management, economic management, energy and environment, GIS and BIM support modules. OpenMaint includes all the elements that made CMDBuild Base so configurable. All our customer requests, when talking about real estate management, are now solved with the OpenMaint solution. The version 1.1 is coming out in a few days. A version of OpenMaint with only some public elements is now downloadable from SourceForge. However, if you need the full version, you have to subscribe to our maintenance program. The starting point for any management activities of civil or industrial property assets is the actual and detailed knowledge of the assets that are managed, buildings, equipment, technical objects, etc. The first goal of OpenMaint is to provide a complete and robust system to use as a single repository of all information related to movable and immovable assets, detailed cards with technical and administrative data, correlations with all interested entities, document archive, georeferences, etc. Part of the information can be initially imported from other types of pre-existing archives. It's also possible to implement the connectors to keep updated some types of information through interrogation of digital control, demotics. All assets can be geo-referenced and consulted on territorial maps, 2D floor plans, and within 3D models, using GIS and BIM viewers included in OpenMaint. Maintenance operations, highly correlated with the inventoried assets, form the most important and most costly activities in the management of real estates. OpenMaint is the perfect tool to manage and control system for such activities, with the aim to improve quality and reduce costs. The maintenance activities can be unexpected and can be executed as failures, or they can be scheduled through temporal criteria or threshold, for example in function of the actual use. OpenMaint supports both modes, preferring, where possible, the second as prevention, avoids interruptions in the availability of the good, and of course reduces the direct and indirect costs, disruption to users, etc. OpenMaint uses the concept of the maintenance manual, well known by the maintenance managers, as a knowledge base for managing maintenance in a structured and customizable way. Tecnoteca is the official maintainer of these projects. Tecnoteca offers support services, training and assistance to all the users that want to benefit from the potential of the software. Tecnoteca technical team is composed of senior and junior engineers. They are all very passionate, trained and professional. The team includes developers, advisors, specialists and trainers to give our customers the best experience with our software. So, do not hesitate to contact us for any further information about the software features and functions. If you'd like to support your business, do implement your project with CMDBuild, CMDBuild Ready to Use and OpenMaint. Thank you for listening to this presentation of the CMDBuild project. If you plan a trip to Italy, do not miss the opportunity to visit us. We will offer you a good espresso or a glass of wine and we'll show you in person how CMDBuild works.